Right.
But you just read it for yourself. He extensively builds on the genealogy of Yahushua. He tells you who Yahushua is. He talks about the Hebrew prophet from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 19. And it's interesting that he stops at chapter 19. Drew Ali was a numerologist. He was a entomologist. He was what else he was? A mathematician. Drew Ali dealt heavily with supreme mathematics. So the point is, when you study and you're familiar with this, and you hear
a historian.
He was a historian, and when you hear this, you put it together. But I'm not saying that other people should see it this way. We're just sharing with you our experience. That's what we're doing.
Let me ask you, when you read in the scriptures, does the Most High hold you accountable? Once you start reading the scriptures and you start doing something else and you live in a total different life from what you've been reading, will the Most High hold you accountable for what you know once you read it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're not as brilliant and sharp and well learned as many of our other Israelite brothers, whereas we can go directly to the scriptures. We'll have to pull up our Google. But within the scriptures, I believe in the gospel, it simply says, as much is known, much is required. So yes, do not take your hand and put it on the plow and then release your hand from the plow after being brought into this marvelous life of information and Israelite nationality. Tell them you have individuals who came into the knowledge that's being disseminated regarding the knowledge and the science of Israel.
Right.
And a lot of them are losing their minds.
This is the ones in particular that is taking their hand off the plow.
Yes.
This is the ones who are, in fact, as the Christian folk used to say many years ago, backsliders. This information, Sarnetta, I must say, this information is not for everybody. It's not for everybody. So this is the most powerful, the most relevant, the most conducive science known to not only mankind, but in particular the melanated man, the Asiatic man, the so-called black man, the Israelite man.
The one who has been denationalized. We are the only individuals on the face of the earth who has been denationalized. If you was to walk up to a person in Brooklyn, Harlem, and Queens and say, hey man,
what is your
nationality? We all know what answer we're going to get. So, we don't even know to be denationalized is a crime against humanity.
Absolutely.
We're supposed to be at every court at the UN, hollering, saying, wait a minute, these people are committing genocide not only on me. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for the sake of your children. Do it for the so-called, for the future. Do it for them.
I've heard the Moors say the reason why we get shot down like animals in the street is because we don't claim our nationality and because we say we are black. I disagree with that.
We disagree as well.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes.
Would you like to add on to that?
Yes. We're not being shot down in the street because of a documentation identifying our national position. We're being shot...
Or the lack thereof.
Or
the lack of identifying our national position.
We're being shot down in the street simply because we're at war and in war.
If I get in a ring with Floyd Mayweather and he punched me in my mouth, am I going to catch an attitude with this guy?
Yes.
Why?
He punched you in the mouth.
But what environment are we? What environment are we in?
Oh, you in his ring?
No, not his ring.
The ring.
The ring. Right. I got you. I see what you said.
So
it's expected to be.
Yes. He got on gloves.
Right.
You got on gloves.
Right.
So if you're gonna stand there and get punched in the mouth all day by Floyd Mayweather, then you're not gonna go the whole 12.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna go down within a few seconds.
So your point is?
My point is, thank you. I like that side.
I know what your point is, but for the viewers.
Thank you. Listen, my point is, the European nation who's biblically identified as Esau or Idumea in these scriptures.
We in their house.
We in their house.
So what do you expect them to do?
They're in our house.
Okay.
They're in our house. And
right.
they're the custodians of it. But now they about to make their transition.
Right, but they overstepped their boundaries.
Right.
Because they were supposed to release
us as a nation of people.
We supposed to be in Jubilee, the whole 9 yards. So the point is, the Europeans are doing what they're supposed to do. Now, this is really going to step on some toes regarding the words that's about to come out of my mouth right now.
So I didn't say it. He said it. And even though I look like him, but don't blame me.
Listen. Let me say this, man. As a matter of fact, let me make it personal because I don't want to offend the families. On our way back to Brooklyn tonight, Sinetta, if Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, allowed Harlem European police officers to take this man's life right here, I will see you a few days later and you will ask me how I feel and what do I expect. And I will tell you, oh no, they did what they were supposed to do. Because why? We know and understand that we are at war. Number one, we know and understand that we are captives under the jurisdictions of Rome. So my point is, I don't even think I would shed a tear if they was to assassinate him tonight. Because that's like us going to World War I and bullets flying everywhere, and your man next to you, he get popped, and you go into an emotional tangent. A tangent. Why? This is what's expected at war. So when we watch the news, oh, such and such was murdered in Brooklyn or Louisiana or Chicago or Alabama, wherever Israelites walk on the face of the earth, when they're assaulted by the colonial oppressors, then this is expected. This is war. What do you expect for them to do?
And there's no paperwork that's going to prevent that from happening, brothers. And if you think paperwork will in fact stop the onslaught or the constant perpetual attack from these Europeans, you're sadly mistaken. See, you have individuals who they don't want to deal with the hardcore reality. See, that takes us back to our original topic. Brother, you are a slave. Accept that. Embrace it. And then we can move on. But defend yourself, in fact, if you can.
Yes, sir.
By all means, as Brother Malcolm X said, by any means necessary, defend yourself.
So now let me ask you, do you come in contact with any of the Moors that may get upset with you when you say Prophet Noble Drew Ali was a Hebrew Israelite? Do you find yourself having to build with them and to share that light with them? Do they get upset sometimes for trying to take their prophet, who they've been calling a Moor all their life, and now y'all two come along and say he was really a Hebrew Israelite?
Right. Yeah,
how does the Moors take that?
Well, listen, let me read chapter 48 real quick.
Right.
Chapter 48 in the Moorish Holy Quran, some people call it the Circle 7, whatever rocks your boat. Chapter 48, the name of this chapter is the end time and the fulfilling of prophecies. The end time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. Chapter 48, key 5. And the reason why we call it keys, because keys is that which open up understanding or unlock doors for greater understanding. Key 5 says, that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Now what I want you to focus in on is this. I'm going to read the first sentence again. That the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned among the sons of men. So Drew Ali prepared what he prepared at that time as a stepping stone to bring us into the understanding of the supreme laws later. He gave us the general laws. Now when we deal with the laws of the Mosaic laws, when we deal with that covenant, we're dealing with the supreme laws. So there's still much wisdom to be learned among the sons of men. So I would humbly share with my Moorish brothers
to look up the word euphemisms.
And I would just share with them like, yo, you can't just grab what you learned there and then you stop evolving. And then you look deeper into what he brought. You might ask the average Moor, if they understand certain words. And if they don't understand certain words,
then there's certain doors that they can't even go into.
So show me anywhere in the literature where Prophet Noble Drew Ali said he's an Israelite.
Okay.
Or was it coded language?
Well, it was coded language. We just said that earlier. Everything was coded. Let me see you go. I don't know. I'm not gonna throw Jay-Z under, keep using Jay-Z. I think we used Denzel Washington last time.
No, let's use Denzel Washington.
Let's use Denzel Washington. How about that? We're gonna throw Denzel under the bus.
Okay.
You know, let me hear you tell Denzel. If you ask Denzel, what is your nationality, and if you give him an option, black, colored, or African American, he's gonna say African American. Even after he came out of the back chambers, knowing the history of man and knowing the table of nations, he's still going to say African American because of the times in which he lived in, and he don't want to rock the boat. He don't want to. Now, Denzel Washington made a statement recently, and it got under a lot of people, but it's the parents for it. Now, if you go watch that recent movie that he just did, and when you watch the science of that movie, you know Denzel Washington don't subscribe to that statement, truly subscribe to that statement that he made. He don't believe that. Denzel Washington ain't no idiot. He's no fool. He's been around these European Ashkenazi Jews and all of these different foreign nationals for years, for decades. So my point is this. Now you asking me, where is in here that Drew Ali says I'm a Hebrew Israelite? No, that's what he got the Wonder Twins for. He says, listen, 50 years later, what did he say?
He said it will actually be 50 years. It would take 50 years before you realize what I brought you. As far as the information, it will take you 50 years before you realize what I brought you. Then another 50 years will pass, making it 100 years. You won't even know I came.
So, I'm glad you brought that up. So, there was a lot of secrets and there was a lot of symbolism in everything that Noble Drew Ali brought. These guys think Rudolph Giuliani, remember we used to like, yo, this dude is a straight devil. You know, the mayor, I think he was the mayor of New York.
Yeah.
But yo, Noble Drew Ali was living in a time of J. Edgar Hoover. Go do your research on this guy, J. Edgar Hoover. You know, go do your research on him. So the point is, I can show you dozens of places, and not only that, but when you open up the Circle 7, it talks about the genealogy of who? Muhammad.
Right.
Do he talk about the genealogy of Muhammad?
No.
Do he talk about the genealogy of Buddha?
No.
Do he talk about the genealogy of Confucius?
No.
He talks about the genealogy of who?
Who the world ignorantly called Jesus. Yahushua. We know him. That's his Hebrew name.
You are what your forefathers were without doubt or contradiction. So therefore, he identified Yahushua as our brother.
And Prophet Noble Drew Ali was a master when it came down to investigating and studying genealogy and the descent nature of men. He identified who the Arabs were. He identified who Cush, in fact, is. He identified who all the other nations were.
Matter of fact, he says, do not allow no foreigners to stand behind the podium and give the Moors any information.
Absolutely.
That goes to show you where he stood regarding other foreign nationals in our business.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of Moors that just know Drew Ali said we gotta love everybody.
And when he even said Islam, he wasn't even talking about Islam as you know it.
Al-Islam, Orthodox Islam, no, he was not talking about
When he
that.
used the word Muslim, he wasn't talking about
the Muslims as you know.
As you know.
That's why he even spelled it differently.
Absolutely.
Muslims.
Muslims, right. So it was all coded. It's euphemisms, man. It's key words.
Okay, so now it stands to reason that Prophet Noble Drew Ali misled the people. Now let me say that. Now I'm gonna prove it.
Say that about my prophet.
I'm gonna prove
Say
it.
that about my prophet.
Let me prove it. When you look outside of yourself and you see all these Moors, nationality groups all across the globe, and they telling you that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was a Moor, then he had to mislead the flock because they got on feds. They running around talking about nationality. I'm a Moor. I'm a Moorish American. So, brother, did he mislead them or did he give them the true science? Because why they call themselves Moors and not Hebrew Israelites?
That's a good question, Brother Sinetta. Well, you have to keep in mind that we are Moors.
Okay.
We are Moors. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, this man was so wise. He identified us as Moors because throughout history, we were those individuals that went to Spain and brought forth civilization.
We have the coat of arms to prove that. Just Google it. You know, we ruled Russia. We ruled Switzerland. We ruled England, London as Moors. That was the identity in which we were known by at that particular time. The great Moors. Moors only mean dark skin. So Drew laid a wonderful foundation in light of who we were in antiquity. And also, he left so many interesting key words for us to also connect ourselves to our Israelite identity, our original nationality. Because we were our nationality discontinued. You know, our heritage was taken away from us. So we were under many names, not just as Moors. Drew Ali could have used another name, and I would have been at peace with that if that name showed and proved our greatness within antiquity. So yeah, we were the Moors. Drew Ali was on point when he said that. But I'm saying at the particular time, he could not just simply say, hey, listen, you are the Moorish Jews, which much literature is out there on the Moorish Jews.
Right, and we already been there. You're familiar with the Moorish Zionist temple that was established right here in Harlem.
Absolutely.
And a few other places around the world. So there was a, what do you call it? A growth process where even the Moors was attaching themselves to so-called Zionism, but we know, you know, what the real deal is. So there was never, it's not as if the Wonder Twins are saying anything that hasn't been studied, that hasn't been shown and proved. This history is already there.
Okay, so what does that say to our Hebrew Israelites, brother? I'm quite sure maybe Captain Tazoriak, Zion Lex, Hashar, and a few other Hebrew Israelites that's here would tell you, man, there ain't no damn more. What is it? It's like Captain Tazoriak, Hashar, Daniel Allah, and the rest of the Hebrew Israelite brothers that's out there. You tell them that you are a Moor and a Hebrew, they look at you like, boy, you're crazy. No, actually, we ain't no damn Moors. We Hebrew. We with the Most High.
No, and they would be correct.
Okay.
And they would be correct. Actually, those brothers are intelligent brothers. Those brothers are more learned than my brother and I on the Israelite subject and the Israelite culture. They are wise enough to know in antiquity, our people were identified as Moors. They know that. They will tell you that. Our people were the ancient Moors because we were conquered by other nations. We were conquered by Arabians. You know, the Arabians came and put their religion on us. So we had to actually move throughout history and move throughout lands that we were conquering as Arabians, so to speak, or with Arabian culture or doctrine. But even Arabians was like, yo, that's those Moors. So at this particular time throughout history, we were already conquered. Far as nationality is concerned, we were great people as the Moors. But far as nationality is concerned, our name had at that time already experienced a name change.
And also, let's emphasize prophecy. If we follow the prophecy, which Drew Ali prophesied, which prophesied means to repeat. If we follow the prophecy, it will lead us to the source.
Can I share a couple of oral statements?
No, we don't want to get too far into reading.
Okay.
Reading, you know what I mean? Let's just point it out, because you go real even with his TD Jakes on sometimes. But the point is prophecy, brother. Prophecy.
It's happening right now.
It's happening right now. It's like you can just go outside, whether you're in Alabama, whether you're in Canada, wherever you at, you can just go outside and you can you'll be engaged with real-time prophecy.
Drew Ali made a statement in his oral statements in Key 76. He said, "The Holy Prophet let the Moors know that he was Jesus." This is how Prophet Noble Drew Ali was talking back then.
Remember who he was talking to. A bunch of who? Can you imagine the mentality and the educational level that our people was on in the early 1900s? It's hard to deal with black people in the 21st century.
And we have the internet.
Do y'all have the 101 here, the lessons?
Yes.
Can you, all right, somebody wrote, my man from New Black World Order, shout out to New Black World Order. He said, can you explain the 93rd question in the 101.
Oh, absolutely.
The 93rd question in the 101. Can you explain that?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's get it.
Will you define the word white? White means purity. Purity means God. And God means the ruler of the land. You want to add on? White was a status. White was a status.
The original white people were us.
Was us.
The Moors.
You're dealing with purity. We're not dealing with color. You know, so when you say white is a status. And again, and then as it so eloquently explained it.
According to who?
Oh, according to our conquerors. The
Okay.
very educational system that most of us was raised in. When I use the term white, what's going to come to an American's mind?
A Caucasian person.
When I say white, a Caucasian person. Or if I say white, the color.
But now, are we making a mistake? Because do you see what's happening? When I said according to who, you said our conquerors.
Right.
So are our conquerors taken from us the greatness of our blackness, of calling ourselves black, but he prefer us to call ourselves what he want, which is white. Call yourself white, because that's your status now. I don't want you to call yourself black, because within blackness comes what? Power, energy, force, and might. So don't call yourself black. I'm going to take black and make it a negative germ. So now I want you to call yourself white, because with whiteness comes status. Remember, I asked you according to who, and you said our conquerors. So now we are calling ourselves white according to our conquerors, because it's what? It's a status.
Who's calling themselves white?
Y'all just said it.
No, we said it was a term. It's a term. It's a political term, actually.
Right.
That simply represent class. Thank you. Gentry.
According to who?
Our conquerors.
There you go. See? There you go.
No. We can take white way back. Right.
Okay.
Way back.
There you go.
Way
I stand to be
before.
corrected.
Yeah.
Right.
Way before the European
Use the term.
used the term. Right. White, as it stated, is purity.
Right.
Purity. What's pure? What's pure than the Creator? What's pure than the universal architect?
Right.
What's pure than divine intelligence? The mind that produces divine intelligence. Elohim, as we call him in the Hebrew. Elohim is purity. Now, what else it says?
Will you define the word white? White means purity.
Purity means God, and God means the ruler of the land. So now, as creations and as vicegerents of the land, we was able to take on certain attributes of Elohim. So we are gods. So we was able to identify ourselves with that class or with that status, that term white. So that means our actions had to be in accordance with universal law, with the laws of the one whom we made the covenant with. So white is purity. Purity is God, which we can take that on, and God is the ruler of the land. And we are the gods of all things manifested. We are the lords of the plane of manifest. We are the lords of minerals. We are the lords of animals. We are the lords of angels. We are the lords of cherubims and seraphims. That's the position that has been given to us. So that's what he meant when he said white. White is purity, and purity is God, and God is the ruler of the land. So yeah, it's just a step. If you put it like this, you know how black folks are, right, Sinetta?
Right.
We create every day. All you got to do is just have Jay-Z say, or any rapper, any popular rapper say, yo, my nigga acting white. Then you know you're gonna have, and then he's gonna say what that mean. That means he's crisp. Right? He's clean, he's sharp. So that's, you know what I'm saying? So we create words and we create terms.
We have to be very careful not to get caught up in semantics.
Yeah, semantics.
Now, what if I was to tell you that, now see, Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, white is, read that again?
Right. White is purity, and purity is God.
And God is the ruler of the land.
Right. So
What if I was to tell you that in actuality, that white is death? When cells turn white in your body, those are signs of going bad. You see?
We would agree with that. That's science.
Okay.
That's science.
That's dealing with science.
Right now, listen, this is also what we must understand.
Pure is...
We must
Yes.
understand this.
Go ahead.
And if we don't get this, trust me, we must understand this. I'm looking, I know where it's at. Okay. Where's that?
So while you doing that, let me ask you this.
Sure.
How do you define black and blackness? What is your definition, or how would you define that
The same
term?
way I see it if I was to walk to the Chinese restaurant around the corner and ask that Chinese man, hey, my man, what's your nationality? And he say yellow. I say, this man has lost his mind. Matter of fact, I asked my mother that. You know, I said, Mom, if a man says, you went to the Chinese store and the Chinese man identified himself as a yellow man, what would you say to him, Mom? Or what would you think? And Mommy says, I would think he done lost his mind. He's crazy. I said, so Mom, how do you think he's looking at you when you identify yourself as the other color, black? So that's what I think about that situation. So again, black, that's just a creation that was created over here in America, and it was a term that was used, a color that was placed on the denationalized people. It's not deep. That's not deep science. There's nothing deep about that. We was just denationalized.
How does the 101 define black?
Oh, it defines black as death. Right. Well, now keep everything in context now. And when he was writing, keep everything in context. He was also writing from He was also writing from the Standard Dictionary at that time.
Oh,
and the
now,
and the definitions according to words at that particular time, so that understanding would have been made understood, and how we was viewed. And those were that was one of the labels that was placed upon us during our ordeal.
But now I'm trying to see, brother, listen, this is what I'm talking about. This is why we have to rewrite our history. Because if we go on by Prophet Noble Drew Ali definition of what is black and what is white, and you yourself said he's going by Webster's dictionary. Webster was a damn racist.
Right, we understand that.
So of course he's going to tell you that black is bad, that black is ugly, that black is something, that everything associated with black is death, and then he's going to tell you that everything associated with white is greatness, as in God. So hold on. So psychologically, he's programming our babies into believe that anything associated with white Jesus, white milk, white angel, white God, that is pure. You got to see that, brothers. Because now you yourself said it, that he's going by the definition of the dictionary, which is Webster, who is a racist bastard.
I agree. What other language would you suggest he use? At that time, what was that time? First of all, we're speaking English.
Right, but now that we know that, brothers, this is what I'm saying. Check it out. You two are some smart brothers. Now that we know that, we got to change that. Guess what Dr. Khalid Muhammad teaches us that black is?
What do you say?
Color, culture, consciousness, and a corresponding cosmic connection to the natural universal law and order of things. That's what black is to us. Greatness. Gold. Pure.
Oh, you got that. You had that thing.
Yeah.
Listen, we agree with Brother Khalid Muhammad. We agree with your bill right now. We don't want to get caught up in the semantics. Black is definitely beautiful. We're not talking about that type of black. So let us not misuse the word black out of context. We love black. Like,
okay.
If I had a choice to be any other color, I'm choosing black all day, every day. All the colors came from black. If you're going to deal on the color spectrum, right? And if you want to go into those sciences, you're going to see that black produced all of the other colors. Absolutely. We're at peace. We're talking about nationalism. Right. We're not talking about color. We're not talking about color. We're not talking about religion. We're talking about nationalism. By their forefathers.